saying, oh my God, it doesn't have oil pressure. Definitely knocking. In this video, we're working on Charlie, the C-12 that definitely has a problem. What are we going to find out to be? Well, you'll have to watch the whole video and find out for yourself. Hey guys, it's Josh with the Death Channel, and it is brisk outside. Snow. It's windy. We're about 20 degrees, 15 degrees. It's brisk. Anyway, that is unrelated to what we're doing today. So it's early in the morning. It's about 5:45. C-12 and an International. This is a plow truck, I believe. Sure looks like one. What's going on? Well, it came in for a knock. It was towed in. That's pretty much all I know about it. So we're going to start from scratch and see what we can find out. Look at that. We already found the problem, folks. A red Baldwin filter on a Cat engine. Actually, that is unrelated to the failure you'll find out later, but still not a fan. I mean, it doesn't even look right. I mean, red with cat yellow. Come on. So what we're doing is checking the oil, just making sure it's not overly filled or underfilled. No rust or anything on it, so that's a good sign. So we're gonna put our dipstick back in and then go check out the other side. We're just looking for anything that would be unusual. Coolant level is good. Coolant looks clean. Good sign. Possibly exhaust leaks, broken manifold, damage to the block even, valve covers, intake manifold, anything like that would be cause for concern. But the engine doesn't look that dirty, at least right here it doesn't. So let's see. So it's got the annoying International beeping noise, but this one doesn't have the trick where you can push the button, at least I don't think so, to get rid of it. Anyway, so what do we got? Really no check engine lights related to the engine, boost pressure not responding, and we're going to start it and see what happens. Now my assumption is possibly a bad camshaft or lifter because it's a C-12. That's a common failure on these, so assuming this computer is not frozen. You can see our temperatures here. Little brisk. Hey, 19, neat. Okay. So, mostly what we're going to be watching and listening for is oil pressure when we crank it. So let's see what happens. So the oil pressure, you might be saying, oh my God, it doesn't have oil pressure. Well, it does. I don't know what's going on with their oil pressure sensor, but it's got a mechanical oil pressure gauge, so yeah, something's going on with that oil pressure sensor in the ET. Anywho, it actually sounds not too bad. Let's go listen to it outside. Definitely knocking. So we got probably a fuel knock or something going on with the valve train. Smoking, not too bad actually. Let's see if we can cut out the cylinders and find out. So let's do a cutout test. You can hear it. Okay, it's significantly decreased with number 2 cut out. Yeah. So listen to this again. 2's definitely firing, but it's number 2. Something's wrong with number 2. Let's find out. So we brought the truck in. Don't want to run it too long. Of course, we don't know what's causing the knocking. And we need to get the forward valve cover off, which means we got to get this intake tube off. And this one has Jake's, you can tell, because it says Jake brakes right there. Now, if it was summer and this engine was not knocking, I would have washed it off. But it's not summer, and our pressure washer's outside. So guess what happens to water when it's outside? So what we're going to be doing is pulling the valve cover, looking for any damage to the engine that is apparent. But No destruction here yet. We're going to have our Destruction of the Week segment, but this is a sponsored video. So first we're going to do the sponsored, then we'll do Destruction of the Week, and then we'll get back to work. So here's our sponsor. Kamikoto, high-quality Japanese steel knives made using traditional techniques. They come in this lovely ashwood box that makes them great as a gift. Each knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. Also have a care guide. Because these are high-quality knives, folks, you want to take good care of them. Now, the set I got came with a 5-inch utility knife, an 8.5-inch slicing knife, and a knife that everyone's going to probably reach for first, which is a 7-inch chopping knife. These are all single-beveled, used by Michelin star chefs all over the world. Now, these are sharp, folks. You can cut a tomato so thin you can see yourself cutting through it. It treats a pineapple like it's an apple. These are nice knives. So what you're going to want to do is go over to kamikoto.com/adeptape. Use code ADEPTAPE. And they're running a Black Friday sale right now. Get $50 off on your orders. Free shipping. Thank you to Kamikoto for sponsoring this video. This week's Destruction of the Week, we have 2 viewer-submitted ones, and the first one is a connecting rod that is, no more. They believe the rod bolts were not torqued, and destruction ensued. Next one's a 3306 Cat with multiple holes in the cylinder block. Not sure what's going on here, but it definitely is broken. So let's get back to work. So this is sped up, but what I'm doing is rotating the engine and just looking for anything weird in the rocker arm and the valve train here. Now this had a drive shaft driven front PTO, which makes it hard to rotate at the front of the engine, but rotate it we did. I had to use a big chain wrench. Should have took a picture of that setup, but it worked pretty good, didn't damage anything. So basically we're just seeing that the valves and the injector are opening and closing, because like I said, cam and lifter damage on a C-12 is very common. Now unfortunately you can't see them from on top though, so we might have to end up pulling the oil pan. Everything, from what I could tell though, looking pretty good. Let's pull the rocker arm assembly. These have individual rocker arm assemblies. What we're looking for here is just damage to the valves, of one valve sitting higher than the others, damage to the bridge, the injector spring, anything different or unusual. Now what would be unusual? Well, basically that just comes from experience and looking at engine failures and light variations in valve height and stuff like that. But these look good. Now notice the dirt. Didn't really notice that before we pulled the valve covers, but unfortunately, too late now. I wish this engine would have been washed off more. But what we're looking at here is the lifters. Now, you can't really see them from on top, which is unfortunate. I don't see any damage, though, from up here, so we're going to have to go underneath. So, draining the oil. I said one of those quick drains, so that is good. But get the oil pan off here. And it became apparent we did not have a camshaft problem because this was in the oil pan. These are not part of the camshaft or the injectors or anything. Those appear to be from the piston skirt because they're aluminum and they're slightly rounded. So what's going on? Well, let me show you. So rolled under the vehicle and started looking up at the number 2 because that's where I suspected it. And you can actually see it here, but it takes a trained eye, so let's zoom in. Look at that! You can see the wrist pin. You should not be able to see the wrist pin next to the liner. That means the piston skirt is basically gone there. Very interesting. Haven't seen that before. I have seen the wrist pin pucks, which I'll explain in a second, fail. But let's pop the piston out and get a much better look. Obviously, I had to pull the cylinder head here. Yeah, I didn't film much of that, so you're just going to have to assume that we did pull the cylinder head because it's no longer there. So, did take the cooling jet out. You always want to remove cooling jets when you pull a piston or a liner assembly because guess what? You can damage them and bad things can happen if they get damaged. So, you might be saying, hey, the skirt looks fine. Yeah, it does there. Let's rotate it around and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it is missing large pieces of the skirt. You can see there's cracks in the skirt also on this side of the wrist pin. Now these are weird. They don't have snap rings that hold the wrist pins in. They just have these little like plastic Teflon coated pucks, or I'm assuming they seem like plastic, some sort of composite. They're not cast iron, that's for sure. And you could see the skirt is basically just disintegrating. Why? I don't know. There's no damage to really any other component. So it seems like something's happened to this skirt, but not sure why. We're going to disassemble it here and take a much better look. This top portion is loose, obviously. All these pieces are going to wind up in the pan. Now, if this skirt had completely disassembled, it's possible that the piston would have been able to rotate in the cylinder, and that would have potentially caused some super major damage. I'm really glad I didn't run this very long. Just did the cutout test, did a couple tests, brought it in the shop right away. Now, I got to give it to this customer too. He brought this truck in once this knock developed right away also. Some people would have kept driving it and could have caused some major damage. So there we go. There it is, now a multi-piece skirt. Now, this aluminum skirt obviously is not part of the piston assembly. It is detachable. Not supposed to be this detachable, but pretty broken. This is the wrist pin out. You can see these little pucks. They do pull in and out, but if you're wondering if any other damage, the bearings look fine. Let's look at the cylinder liner. It actually is not in horrible shape. You can see some not light, but there's vertical scoring in the cylinder. Not horrible. He's going to go with a full rebuild. I would say very smartly so. But yeah, he caught it early enough, so no real damage to the engine outside of the piston, obviously. So let's get to our winners of this Western State embroidered jacket. Also, we're having a giveaway for some secondary prizes. And who guessed how much fuel this engine burned in its lifetime? 70,005 gallons. Had over 300,000 miles, in case you were wondering. Also, so who are the winners? Well, in 5th place, we have Detector. So if you win, please email me at adeptape@yahoo.com. We'll need your shipping address for your prizes. In 4th place, we have Kevin Anderson, 88,500. Most of the comments we got were way over. We had like over 1 million on some guesses too. 1 million gallons. That would be pretty impressive. Jerry, we have 86,000. And in 2nd place, he was very close to being in 1st place, was JC with 61,000. Remember, email me, please, at adeptape@yahoo.com, and we'll get these shipped out. And the winner is River City with 75,000 gallons. That is the closest to the 70,000 that it actually burned. Thank you to everyone that commented on the post and watched the video. Really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy your prizes. I will leave you with this.